Welcome to the very first episode of the Golden Age podcast, where we talk about the importance of health and wellness when it comes to your well-being physically, mentally, and spiritually during the most important years of your life. I'm your host, JP, and in this first episode, I'm going to introduce the podcast and introduce myself as well so that you can learn where I'm currently at and the journey that I took to get here. Was because there's one thing that I was missing in my content on my page, right? And we'll get to what I do in a second, but I didn't have any connection post or anything that people can relate to. And part of that reason being is just that I feel really uncomfortable sometimes in front of the camera, and that whole standing outside and at a park or outside of a lake and talking to the camera like a badass. That's really not me, right? This is actually a little more comfortable for me because I get to share about myself, some of the things that I think are important, and I get to provide you guys with a little more valuable information. So you can expect me to be making some reels out of the content that we talk about on this podcast, and it's all with the intention to share with you guys more information, be able to connect with you guys on a deeper level. Now, as I'm recording this podcast, right now we're in my room. There's no really fancy setting, nothing like that right now. We're just starting out. So it's going to be really cool right now that all of you who are watching this, the first couple of episodes, you're going to see how things evolve. We're going to have some interviews one-on-one, right? Whether it's both people on video camera or in person, whatever works out best. And other times it's just going to be myself, right? And I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would drop in the comments topics that you really want covered, that you would really like for me to discuss, right? So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be speaking about comes from a lot of knowledge that has been passed down to me and from my personal experiences, right? And also the goal is to bring on other individuals, right? Whether they're entrepreneurs or business professionals, right? That currently are doing really good and that they can share the tips as to what they did to get where they are. So we'll see kind of how this podcast evolves, right? Main focus is going to be health and wellness. I'm also going to share a little bit about my experience in the military because that to me also counts as a working professional. And maybe some of you are considering that too, right? So getting in a little bit more into this podcast and introducing myself. As I said earlier, I am JP. I am your host. Now, I am a 25-year-old right now, right? Proud Mexican, right? Proud American as well. I am also very driven by my faith. So, proud Mexican, proud American, proud Catholic. A little about me right now, what I'm doing currently, right? And the reason for this podcast is I took the risk, a couple months, about a year and a half ago. I left the corporate gym world. I left this gym that I used to be at, and I ended up at a private facility down here in Chula Vista. For those of you who don't know Chula Vista, you might be familiar with San Diego. I'm at a gym called San Diego Strength and Wellness, and that's what I do in the evenings. That's what I really love to do. I really enjoy it. Spend good time with clients and friends at the gym. Aside from that, I graduated from the University of San Diego with both my bachelor's and my master's. Bachelor's in business administration with a minor in marketing, and my master's in business analytics, right? So nothing really too related to fitness, right? And we'll explain later how I got more into fitness and stuff like that. But thanks to my school right now, I work for the government as well. And I work from home a lot of times, so it does give me a little more freedom to be able to train clients at different times, work on my business as well, and work on this podcast. Right. Now, lastly, and one of the parts that I am most proud of and that I am looking forward to share with you guys is that I'm also recently just a brand new commissioned officer in the United States Reserve, United States Navy Reserve to be exact, right? So I enlisted in the Navy back in 2020 before I finished my bachelor's. I signed a year before, and then right after I finished school, went out to boot camp, right? I will share also that experience with you guys later on. And then spent 3 years as an enlisted, making it up to E5, so a petty officer, second class. And this last year, I submitted my officer's package as well for the reserve. Went through some interviews, and oh, glory to God, I am now a commissioned officer. So, and I will be heading out to officer development school next weekend. So looking forward to share that experience with you guys as well. How did I get to where I am today, right? You know, being a business owner, right? As a trainer, being an officer in the Navy, and working full time for the government. How did I get here? Well, I'd say it all starts with my parents, to be honest with you guys, because I have two very hardworking parents that did everything to give me the best that they could, right? They helped me go to a good high school, which that high school prepared me to go to a good college, and that college ultimately helped me. I mean, I had to put in the work, right? But that helped me land my full-time job right now. So that's like the first part of this whole journey, right? Now, I will say this. During my bachelor's, let's just say I had this false expectation that, oh, you just need to get your bachelor's and boom, you're going to have a job, right? And the tough part was realizing that wasn't true, because I didn't have really any meaningful internships when I was in college. I had one, didn't really work out too well, and didn't really learn much, nothing valuable really. And then the worst part too is that we had COVID hit, right? So my last, I want to say, year and a half I spent from home, right? Which that last year and a half is probably when I should have had a good internship to help me learn. And so, yeah, that was part of the reason why I signed for the Navy, because I had no plan. I didn't know what I was going to do. And in a way, leaving for boot camp was an excuse for me to be gone for a bit and kind of figure things out until I came back. Now, while I was in boot camp, I had a lot of time to think, right? A lot of alone time, because we didn't have no phones, really no internet, nothing, right? So I had a lot of time to think about what I wanted to do when I got back home. And one of those things that I decided was that I wanted to go back to school, get my master's, actually have a meaningful internship while I'm there, right? So that I could then get a job, right? Have a job offer before I actually graduate school. So I was gone for about 4 months, from June to, I want to say, end of October. And then I got back home. By then, it was too late to apply to any master program starting that year, but it was just in time for me to apply for programs for the next year, right? So I did that. And then meanwhile, I was like, shoot, I need to find a job. I need to do something. I came back, and since I was still like in an active duty status, well, I still got paid as active duty. So for a good month, I didn't work, didn't have to worry about that yet. And it wasn't until one day that I was at the gym at LA Fitness, and I ran into an old friend of mine, back when we used to work together at a water park as lifeguards. And he was working at the gym, and I was like, oh shoot. I was like, what's up, bro? I was like, how you been? He's like, good, you know? And to me, it was surprising because I had been going to that gym since I was like 12, maybe. I don't know, as early as you can go to a gym. So when I came back and I saw him there, I was like, oh, shoot, okay. And I asked him, I was like, hey, bro, so what are you doing? Like, you know, what are you working as here? And he told me that he was working in sales, specifically in sales for personal training. And then I asked him, like, okay, like, you know, if you like it, is it hard? Is it easy? What do you think about it? You know, not really knowing too much about, you know, training other people. I had gone to the gym, but I wasn't very consistent or anything. I had a trainer there before. But I was going with a friend, and the training was under his account. So when he stopped going, I had to stop going with the trainer. But so I was like, all right, man, like, yeah, like, you know, that'd be pretty cool to do. Like, do you think you can get me a job? And sure enough, he spoke to his manager, and he's like, you know, well, do you have any experience training people? I was like, well, I've trained people in baseball. You know, I trained a couple kids for a high school team for a couple months, and that was really my experience. And he said, all right, man, don't worry about it. Like, as long as you have good people skills, I will show you the rest. And sure enough, I started working there, and then I started school as well. And once I went into school, I couldn't work full time anymore, right? So before going to school, I was working full time at the gym. Basically, let's say I was in there from 8 to 12, lunch from 12 to 3. So I'd probably work out that time. And then my next shift was from 3 to 7 or 4 to 8. So I was spending all the day at the gym trying to sell PT. I was pretty bad at first, I'm not going to lie. And it's just because it's one of those things where, like, you have so much self-doubt in yourself. Like, oh, well, I'm not really built yet. I'm not really too sure what I'm doing. You know, is this person going to think that, you know, I'm not a good trainer? Are they going to buy from me? They're not going to buy from me. And it was my first time really experiencing dealing with objections from people. And I was not really that good at that job for a while, right? As time went on, I got better. I had really good managers who helped me out, right? Obviously, you know, every now and then you get a manager that's not that great, but that job really set me up for a lot of success, right? So once I started school, I ended up getting my certification to just be a personal trainer, right? And so I was going to school, training people in the evening, and that was kind of the cycle that I was going through for the whole year that I did my master's program. And sure enough, this time when I did my master's, we went to Australia. That was really awesome. So we actually took a class over there and we got to work with another company that was very valuable experience right there. And I will say masters are actually worth the expense. Bachelors, I'm not too sure, but masters, like some of the skills that you learn in there, it's like, oh, damn. Like, why didn't I learn this earlier? So sure enough, I would say 2 months before graduation, I had a job offer secured, which is where I currently work at right now, right? And I've been now at that job for about a year and a half as well. So once I started my full-time job, I realized, okay, if I'm going to be training people at a gym, at a corporate gym, I'm only getting paid for one client by hour, right? And this is if this client shows up, because if they cancel with enough time, well, then they can get their session back, right? And I was like, you know what? This is a lot of time that I have to put into it and not enough money that I'm getting back, right? Because right now, at a young age, what I want to do is make the most money that I can so that, one, I can pay my debts, right? And two, I want to start investing into another business, into real estate. So unless I have the capital, it's going to be really hard, right? Plus, again, pay off debt, increase your credit score, which means it's easier to apply for all these business loans, all this other stuff that's really important. So that was the goal. And I left LA Fitness because it just, to me, it was like, you know what? Too many hours, not enough money. I'll figure out some other side hustle or something else. I don't know. I'll figure it out. And I also thought I'd maybe be making enough money with my job until I had the hard realization of how much taxes and deductions you get taken out each paycheck. So once I left LA Fitness, was working my full-time job, a good friend of mine introduced me to the gym owner of the gym that I'm currently at. And after that, the rest is history, right? Now, the only downside here about starting that independent gym as an independent trainer is that you're basically starting from zero, right? So this is kind of where some of that sales experience came in handy. But really, I started out by training a couple of friends for very, very cheap, right? And thankfully, those first few clients are still around, right? And that was what helped me kind of get my business going, starting to get some credibility, starting to get some referrals. And that kind of leads me to where I am today. Now, where am I trying to go, 5-10 years from now? I think my first and most achievable goal right now is to grow my client base to 20 to 25 clients, right? I want to get to the point where I can replace my full-time job with training, right? By having 2 hours in the morning of clients and then 3 hours in the evening, filling that up with 20 to 25 clients and like full price paying clients, right? So that's my first goal that I have. Aside from just growing my client base, there's other things that I want to start to incorporate more into my business, right? Making sure that I make the most out of any affiliate commissions that I can make, really maximizing my income, right? Having multiple income streams. Because if I'm going to train people, and I know they're going to need equipment, they're going to need maybe some supplements, right? And one of the things that I'll be sharing with you guys as this podcast grows, I also want people to really improve their health through drinking the right water. And I'll leave you guys with that. Later on, you will learn more about that, right? So all of these things are tied in to being a trainer, and I want to make sure I can maximize my earning with all of these things, right? Because I would be doing a disservice to any of my clients if I didn't teach them about, the proper supplements, proper nutrition, proper equipment, proper gym clothes even, right? So that's my second goal. My third goal would be to knock out Oscar in school, and then also the classes I have to take after that. Just finish them as soon as possible. Because once I do that, then I can finally do more active duty order stuff, which is some stuff that I really, really like to do. So I want to make sure I complete that, right? And plus, I need to complete it to keep my status as an officer. And fourth goal is going to be to buy my first business, right? There's a few businesses that I'm looking into. One thing that I really would like, that I think would be cool, would to buy a coffee shop that is already established, right? That already has a location, already has all of the equipment, right? More than just me going in and making this coffee shop flourish, right? Or maybe going into something more in the services where, it could be plumbing, heating, AC, pool cleaning, right? Services that people really need to, again, take over a business that's already established and learn how to grow it, right? So learning Google Ads, Facebook ads. Right now, I'm currently doing a Google Business Analytics certification. So all these little things that I'm going to learn to grow that business and to be more efficient in that business. And the last and final goal that I have is to really get into investment properties in real estate. So this last year, I've been going to a few events once a month that talk about real estate, the different strategies, and they bring on different people to share information, what they're doing in real estate, right? And so I know there's all these other things that I have to get in order first, right? And this is why this is the last goal right here. But I really want to get into real estate, have investment properties. I want to have the freedom where eventually I have many multiple streams of income and I don't have to worry about working a 9-to-5 job every day. You know, if I want to go on a trip to Europe, on a trip to Hawaii, on a trip to Greece, if I want to take, I don't know, I would like to have the financial freedom to do what I want with my life, to be able to go where I want, do what I want, buy what I want, give back to my community, right? One thing is that I really want to give back to my church because that church was so fundamental. So just to kind of finish with this, 2024 was a year that I started to learn a lot, receive a lot of information. But I think what I was missing and last year, because last year was a really good year. I really enjoyed last year. I had a good time. I learned a lot. I grew a lot. The only thing that I was missing was taking action, right? Now, this podcast, in a sense, is forcing me to take action because I want to share with you guys the different steps that I take when I buy that business, the different steps that I take, once I get into real estate, share with you guys my experiences through the military. So one thing that I really want to do this year is take action, not just wait and learn, but learn, take action, right? Look at what I did. Okay, this is what worked. This is what didn't. Go back to learning, planning again, taking action again, right? Again, we are in my room right now. If you guys were to see the mess around me, you'd be like, bro, why don't you get like a studio or something? Look, dude, I'm just trying to get the ball rolling. Right. And I hope that this podcast will also inspire you guys for whatever goals that you have, whether it's, with fitness, whether it's trying to take care of yourself mentally, or maybe you're trying to have a greater connection with God again. But hopefully this will inspire you to take action on the different goals and ideas that you have. Because then it's just going to stay that. It's just going to stay as a goal. It's just going to stay as an idea. It's never going to turn into an accomplishment. So I want to thank everyone for listening to this very first episode. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with you guys more knowledge, more experiences, connecting with you guys on a deeper level, and inspiring you guys to take action on everything that you want for your life. Once again, I'm your host, JP. This is the Golden Age Podcast. Make sure to take note and take action, and always keep God in your hearts.